Welcome to Red, White, and Beau, where you can find all you need to know in just 10 minutes or less. What kind of state do you want to live in? That's the top story in today's show. We're witnessing a very different response by individual states when it comes to the coronavirus reactivity and governance. Where Republican-governed states have largely loosened their restrictions to permit businesses to reopen, many Democrat-controlled states have kept their territories on lockdown, much to the ire of their residents. This has opened the door to a flurry of lawsuits, such as in Wisconsin, where the Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down Governor Tony Evers' orders on the grounds that he couldn't unilaterally do so without input by the state legislature. Legal challenges are happening in Oregon, California, Michigan, Maryland, and Illinois as well. We're witnessing the different types of authority these states have given their governors to act with emergency powers. This comes on the heels of a letter sent to President Trump Tuesday by 600 doctors urging the president to end the national shutdown, calling it a mass casualty incident with exponentially growing health consequences. The letter continues, quote, "The millions of casualties of a continued shutdown will be hiding in plain sight, but they will be called alcoholism, homelessness, suicide, heart attack, stroke, or kidney failure. In youths, it will be called financial instability, unemployment, despair, drug addiction, unplanned pregnancies, poverty, and abuse," end quote. That brings us to this pivotal question. What kind of state do you want to live in? Many governors are restricting personal freedoms in business in the name of science and public health. A science, mind you, that has left far more questions than answers. Yet people cling to that word as an absolute and vastly understating the collateral damage of this shutdown. Where you have chosen to live may very well determine your level of life, liberty, and happiness. You can live in a state like California, where beautiful beaches and sunshine are overshadowed by high taxes, sanctuary cities, and draconian stay-at-home orders. Or take New York, for example, the state most horribly affected by this pandemic. Governor Andrew Cuomo ordered infected patients to be sent to nursing homes. There's no excuse in this type of reckless leadership. More than 4,800 people died in nursing homes in New York from COVID-19. By contrast, take Florida, for example, which didn't have near this level of experience in spite of its population. I profiled these differences in a revealing interview with Dr. Jane Ruby, a nurse practitioner who was recovering from COVID-19 and who could not get the prescription of hydroxychloroquine in the state of Virginia due to Governor Ralph Northam's health department regulations. Now, while she did recover, her prognosis could have been far worse, and her state of residence could have been a life or death matter. That brings us to a related topic, which is the revelation that President Trump has been taking hydroxychloroquine for a week and a half now, after consulting with his physician. He did this as a prophylaxis or a preventative measure. So where's the science in all this? Well, this goes back to a 2005 study done by the National Institute of Health under the very captaincy of Tony Fauci. The study's title was "Chloroquine is a potent inhibitor of SARS coronavirus infection and spread." Their conclusion was, quote, "Chloroquine is effective in preventing the spread of SARS-CoV in cell culture. Favorable inhibition of virus spread was observed when the cells were either treated with chloroquine prior to or after SARS-CoV infection," end quote. The phrase "prior to" is key here because it indicates preventative treatment. Then you have the therapeutic role HCQ can play in combination with zinc. In a more recent study published in Science Direct, researchers talk about the role HCQ plays in increasing cell pH levels and zinc's inhibition of RNA polymerase activity, which reduces coronavirus replication. So there's the biological science behind it, since so many out there want to dismiss this drug just because Trump is taking it. Your major media outlets are not reporting these positive studies. Those blissfully wishing the president's demise are likely entirely unaware of these studies. So wouldn't it stand to reason that Dr. Fauci should discuss the 2005 NIH study? Finally tonight, a career criminal in Texas arrested 70 times. Yes, I said that right, 70 times. Was shot and killed by Houston police after he allegedly stabbed an 80-year-old woman out shopping. 38-year-old Randy Lewis had a violent history and also a history of mental illness, and a judge waived 2 bonds, one of them a felony, for release to a private residential care facility. He somehow escaped to stab 80-year-old Rosalie Cook to death. Now, while we have made great strides in criminal justice reform, here's a major instance where it failed. And while many are justifiably up in arms about the death of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, this senseless death has sparked not near that amount of outrage, other than from the Houston police. America is very selective in its outrage. And if this were your mother or grandmother, you'd be outraged and wonder why the criminal justice system has failed so badly. We all bleed red. We have to trust those in blue. This has been Red, White, and Beau. Thanks for watching.